I keep coming back to the idea that solutions and ideas are much harder to discuss than disaster. And disaster and mayhem is easy to show and easy to talk about, and so that's the way the media is reporting news right now. And I think that local coverage of issues needs to be so much more focused on local needs instead of local murders and local mishaps. And I think what's interesting to me is that we blame the public for not wanting information. I don't know how the public would respond. And then also, let's not forget social media in all of this. I mean, it's a really important thing to think about, this idea of putting things out into the social media world. I think one of the problems with that it kind of goes out there and never comes back. So one of the interesting things that social media is teaching us is that we are participants in the story. We are participants in a kind of removed way right now, because it sort of puts us behind this very comfortable electronic screen. But I think it is putting us together, and we are participating. So the next trick is, how do we get away from that screen once in a while and come together as a group to discuss these issues that we have learned about in the social media context. I think we really need to figure out how to take that next step into the physical world that we all inhabit, and stop denying that our social media really connects us. It connects us to a point, and then beyond that we have to connect with each other. I don't think there's any person living and watching even a little bit of television is unaware that something is going on. The whole sort of climate change issue, I mean, we're all aware of this, that this is incredibly destructive right now. The climate is incredibly changed. We need to figure out what some of the answers are, and how do we build environments that are less harmful to the environmental systems. And it's certainly not on the evening news, except when there's a disaster. I mean, it was very interesting that the environmental correspondents came on during the Deepwater Horizon disaster, because they could talk about disaster and remediation, but they're not talking about solution. They're not talking about ideas to fix things. Those are more difficult things to talk about, and I think that that's not being part of the conversation. And I think when that becomes part of the conversation, that's going to be very interesting how and when it does, because when it does, it will create some sort of a public dialogue that doesn't exist at this moment. I think it's really important for us to say that the progressive ideas happen whenever the environment and the built environment intersect. And there needs to be a very strong commitment by the design community to the ideas, not just sort of this vague word sustainability, but the idea that environmental and human issues are intertwined, and they need to be thought about first and foremost when you build anything, when you make anything. So I think when you think about that, when you think about integrating human need and environmental need together, and the idea that they're all part of the same system of thought, then it becomes a really interesting thing to talk about.